Hey everyone, I am really pleased to be joined today by Laura Phillips. Laura is a long-term Walmart associate. We're going to talk about that in a couple minutes, but Laura's title right now, she's got a couple big jobs actually. She had a big job as Senior Vice President Global Sourcing for Walmart US, and just recently we added on US manufacturing and US sourcing. So we were at this point where we realized we didn't want to have one team looking outside the country and one in. It's about sourcing the right thing for the entire company on behalf of the customer. So Laura has taken on this responsibility, and it's important because about 2/3 of what we source is our products that are purchased in the U.S. And in 2013, we committed to buying another $250 billion by 2023. Pretty big goal, right, Laura?
That's right. Big one.
It adds up. And last week, Laura and an associate named Scott Gucci and several others hosted an event that we do every year, and it's a lot of fun. It's called the Walmart Open Call. And this is a day where we basically allow any entrepreneur or startup or new business to pitch products to things they make in the United States to the Walmart merchants. And Laura's just maybe start with talking about the event, but it was a fantastic event. You guys did a great job and captured a really big audience, right?
Yeah, no, that's right. So first of all, John, thanks. It's such a privilege to be here with you on the huddle. It's a great show. So thanks so much for the opportunity to come and chat a little bit. So yeah, we hosted our annual open call event last week. This is the 7th year that we've hosted this event here at Walmart. And I've attended all of them, and I've attended them as a merchant or in my role in sustainability. And this was the first one to really kind of be a part of from more of a leadership perspective. And it was such a great reminder to me of just everything awesome about Walmart and, the role that we play. One, finding great products for our customers, and then two, really supporting all of these suppliers who come from all walks of life, all over the country, and who have a dream, to make it big, to have a great product and to see it on the shelf or online at Walmart or Sam's Club. So it was such a fun moment. We pivoted and had a virtual digital event this year. And we had more suppliers participate. We had more people tuning in and more yeses coming out of the event than we've had. And so we're really excited about the opportunity to really now go forward and work with these new suppliers and continue to find more US manufactured products.
What it reminds me of is every business, whether it's big or small, you have to start with the small business. Every business starts small and grows. And the platform that we have to enable new suppliers to connect to customers, regardless of it being on the Walmart marketplace or sold directly on Walmart.com, which both are obviously sold on Walmart.com, or the stores, or a combination of all three, is really powerful. There's some good stories I heard about some of the suppliers. You want to share some of the items or people
Yeah.
you met last week?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And as you mentioned, what was really neat this year is that, we asked for applicants over the summer, and we really weren't sure with everything going on, how many applicants we were going to get. So we had a record number of applicants, 4,800 applied. Immediately, those 4,800, we invited them to Marketplace. And in fact, we've got already up and running 100 new Marketplace sellers, many of them new to that format of retail. And our teams at Marketplace just did an amazing job to get those suppliers up and running really quickly. So we've got 100 new sellers that are going to be featured on Marketplace, and then in the stores and clubs. This was the first year we had Sam's Club participate too, which was really neat. So not only offering a Marketplace solution, but also our stores, our clubs, our Walmart.com, SamsClub.com, just a lot of opportunities for these small businesses to really get in front of customers, whatever kind of the customer segment that's the best for that product. So a couple of my favorites. And there's a lot to choose from, and I'm so excited to see how these items do in the stores. But a couple that are just really fun. So one of them that I wanted to mention was in the food category, and we saw a lot in the food category. Just a lot of innovation in food and really interesting products. So some of them are, kind of natural or healthy, sustainable products, specialty, different items than you'd maybe see in a Walmart today. And so we had the Skinny Latina from Florida, and she presented her range of hot sauces and barbecue sauce. They look fantastic, really innovative flavors, all natural. And so she's going to be picked up in stores, which is exciting. Another one that I thought was a lot of fun is the Salty Bones Folding Fishing Ruler. Now I had to read that because I want to get that right. All right. And this is from a company called Advanced Graphics, also, produced their product in the US. And it is literally a ruler where you measure your fish right after you've caught it. And the reason it's so cool is that, if you're a fisherman, the size matters, right? In terms of regulations, even in terms of sustainable stock. And so literally you're out on your fishing trip, you pull out this ruler, you can see by state how long it should be. And if you can keep it or throw it back, that thing is really, really innovative. So that'll be a fun one. And just products all over. We had apparel suppliers, some new dresses that were brought in. We had a new kind of hose sprocket out of a supplier in California who works with veterans. So all categories, 49 states pitched products, and just really cool, innovative products that you're going to be able to find at Walmart really soon.
Well, that's great to hear. There was 49 states, and fishing's interesting this year, right? We think about 25 million people were fishing last year, and this year it's about 35 million. So 10 million people have picked up a new hobby. So really good time to be in the space. And if you've been in a store this summer, you'd have seen how many things had sold out and out of stocks all over because the supply chain was running for about 25 million. And when you have these kinds of massive increases, it really changes the way we have to run the business and think about what it's going to mean this year and even next year. So be curious to see how many of those 10 million keep it as a hobby and how many of the 10 million were in for a while. Many of us, I know I do this. I start a hobby and about 30 days in, I find a new hobby, but other things we stick with a little longer. One of the fun things that happened for this meeting last week is we had some time. I got to talk to Robert Irvine, who's a celebrity chef. He's a host of the show Restaurant Impossible. But Robert works with small businesses all over the country, including small businesses that were impacted, obviously, by the pandemic. So he had some great advice, and I want to show a clip really quickly from the interview with Robert.
No matter what business you're in, there's always an opportunity to change. And that's what I've said we've done 230 something restaurants. And I've said the same thing. What makes you unique and how can we make you stand out in a crowd? Because if you don't stand out, you're going to get lost in the crowd. And that's one of my big points. Take care of your people, take care of your product, and listen very carefully to what you actually are doing the people want.
So Laura, really good advice, and it's great advice for businesses, great advice for big businesses, small business, and just really great advice in general to take care of your people and listen to what it is your customer wants. Our customer's changing. Certainly all the small businesses and startups you met last week, their customer is changing, and we're changed by what's gone in the world, and we're changed by the working from home and the market conditions we're in. But good advice. Anything you want to add to what you heard given Robert's comments?
Yeah, no, first, John, it was great to have Robert, show up at our open call event, and thanks for interviewing him. He has been through so much, and he's such a good example of, two things to me that I was really struck by listening to him. One was just his focus on the customer and pivoting, making use of kind of what you have. And he spoke about that, from the perspective of somebody who runs restaurants, and then really pivoting what he could work with, what he had in his supply chain, and how he could serve his customers' needs. And I think that is so true from what we witnessed at the open call event. And I would say, if you look at the categories that our entrepreneurs came in with this year, they really reflected our times, right? And kind of what customers are looking for in this really challenging year. And so you saw a lot of really fun kind of food products, people experimenting in the kitchen, cooking a little bit more. You also saw that health products, right? And so wellness and, nutrition and beauty products, right? We saw some really cool pet products. One of the merchants' favorites was a pet bandana from Minnesota. They loved it so much, they placed it for 1,000 stores just off the bat. So, these trends around, pivoting with the customer, these entrepreneurs showed up and they brought really neat items that are really meeting our customers where they are right now based on the situation. And the other comment, I thought that Robert mentioned was just, what a challenging year it's been. And it's been a real challenging year for so many small businesses and for so many suppliers. And that was one of the things that really made Open Call special this year, is that we really wanted to reach out to these small businesses and say, hey, listen, Walmart's here for you. We have a place, we, want to consider your product for our customers, and we want to work with you. And so, we've done a lot of reaching out to our suppliers, especially our smaller ones this year, and really helping support them through new programs and supplier financing, or rent relief in some of our, spaces in our stores. And so I thought those two messages around connecting with customers into what they want right now, right? And then also just how we all support each other and really lean in with small businesses at this time were really powerful messages.
No, that's great. And you really can see the psychology behind what's going on this year, just in the innovation you saw. And it's so important because small business and retail are the largest employment sectors in the country. So we need a strong retail base, including e-commerce and physical locations. We need room for small businesses to start. We need our restaurants to safely run and be profitable because they employ so many people in the country. So what we do in open call and the way we source makes a real difference for the entire country. Which brings me back to your career. You've had a lot of jobs at Walmart. You've had a variety of jobs. When I think people who have really had a lot of breadth of experience, you're one of those people. Or you've worked in sustainability, which I'm guessing when you started, you probably never would have dreamed that would have been a job you could make such an impact in. And then with these two sourcing roles, and then the years of submersion. I'd love for you to just quickly talk about how this all happened. From, I think it was an internship. You met the CEO of the company at some point through this cool organization, and here you are years later with all this experience. But love to hear the breadth and how it all started.
Yeah. So actually, my story in retail starts when I was 14. So I'm a lifelong retailer. When I was 14, I got my first job in retail. And it wasn't at a Walmart because, in fact, I grew up in South Florida and we didn't have as many Walmarts in South Florida at the time, John. We do have more now, but I started as a cashier in a grocery store and I wanted to work on the sales floor, to be frank, right? And so I kind of wanted to work my way up. But I stayed in retail all through high school. I worked in a record store, remember, selling records, and got to work on the sales floor there. I worked in a pharmacy and sold, health and beauty care products. And then when I was in college, I was looking for, what my future was going to be. And I interviewed with Walmart and I was just struck with the opportunity that they came in and said, hey, we're growing. We have so much going on. We have so much opportunity, come to work for Walmart. I was a finance major at the University of Florida and had retail experience, knew I loved retail. And I thought, well, let me take a chance. And I thought, I'll just start as an intern. I'm not sure this is going to be my career forever, but, I'll have a good time as an intern. And I started as a store intern. The first store I worked at was in Johnson City, Tennessee. So shout out to my friends up there. I still stay in touch and know several of them. Never forget my first store manager, Richard Porch, and Melanie, my assistant. I mean, they're such a part of my life and my story. And I still stay in touch with their families, in fact. But they taught me about retail and I loved it. I loved working in that store. I transferred and worked in a store in Gainesville, Florida. It's another really fun store. And loved that experience working in the stores, and then had the opportunity to come into the office to be a buyer. And so took that opportunity, moved out to Arkansas, and bought in a bunch of different categories across general merchandise, consumables, and our food categories. And love that. I love product. I love working with customers, suppliers, our associates, and delivering, a great experience. So I've had a ton of fun in a lot of different roles, and I've really learned, John, throughout all the different roles about, what a difference we can make. And one of those is in sustainability, right? And also U.S. manufacturing. When Walmart gets focused on an issue and takes it on, we've really learned what kind of impact we can make through the lens of shared value, right? And so we can strengthen our business and also take on these big challenges and really, create great impact at scale. And you see that in sustainability, and it's so humbling and inspiring, the work we're doing in sustainability and continue to do. And now, what we're doing and what we've been doing for many years in US manufacturing, and thinking about what's next and what more we can do. So, I'm personally so appreciative of Walmart and all my experiences, and really excited about the opportunity to continue to really, create a positive impact at scale. Like, no one else. I mean, there's not another company that you can really do that besides Walmart. So it's exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. And it sounds fun the way you describe it. All the categories that got to buy, and we met actually working in sustainability a long time ago. You jumped in it early, about 2005. I did as well. And then our paths crossed again when I was living in China. You were in seasonal at that time and had other big responsibilities. So it's just so interesting that you can do so many things in one place, and the impact is amazing. And we're sitting here at a year where we've got hurricanes that are now named the second alphabet. We've had forest fires on the West Coast. So this is a real threat in many ways. And companies like Walmart and the industries that we're involved in can make such a difference, whether it's food sourcing or packaging or the use of energy or sustainable transportation, or even trying to think about how we become a regenerative company, which are all things we wouldn't have even dreamed of a few years ago. But not only are they the right thing to do, they make the business stronger, but they are necessary things that we've got to all try to do together. So, Laura, I just think you've had a fantastic breadth of experience, and it all adds up to the point where you can do the things you're doing now because you've had these jobs and you're ready and you're prepared, and you can connect the dots from buying things from, whether it's seafood in South America or it's textiles in Eastern North Carolina. You can do all that. Anything you want to say just in closing regarding the event as we wrap up?
Yeah. Well, just, first of all, John, thanks for the chance to come on and talk a little bit. I agree. There's so much happening here at Walmart. It's an exciting time in the business. The customer's changing, we're moving so quickly across new ways of working every day, which is exciting. We're making such a positive impact on so many areas that are so needed. And to be frank, we need to keep leaning in. These are big issues, whether it's, sustainability or, manufacturing, and we're making a real impact. And thanks to so many of the teams across the company who are working really hard to really take these challenges on. And within U.S. manufacturing, I would tell you, we're just getting started. We have a goal, as you mentioned, the $250 billion goal that we're sourcing and finding great products for by 2023. We're well on track there. And through that work, we're going to be creating a lot of jobs in the country and finding great products for our customers. And we think there's more we can do, right? So whether companies are already making here, products here, we want to continue to grow with them, or finding new companies like we did with Open Call and helping nurture them and guide them. I hope some of these products that we mentioned become great items at Walmart and Sam's Club and online, and continuing, to work with all of our suppliers across all the products we're sourcing to serve the customer. So I'm excited for what we have going on and continuing to support the business through our U.S. manufacturing initiative for sure.
Thanks, Laura. It's exciting stuff. I was just speaking to someone earlier. The most fun part of the job is finding out what customers want and what's changing and where they're going, and the data leads you to so many conclusions. But at the end of the day, it's all about entrepreneurs and businesses coming up with items that inspire people. I think you got it. So thanks for what you're doing, and look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thanks, John. Take care.